For all history shows that the effort to win progress within freedom represents the most determined and steadfast aspirations of man.
USAID's development programming in Liberia focuses on 4 broad areas: health, education, economic growth, and democracy, rights, and governance, an area whose goal is fostering accountable and democratic governance. Let's now look at some of the work that USAID does in each of these 4 areas in Liberia. Health.
Liberia has a fragile health system. There is a low doctor-patient ratio, with about 500 doctors for the country's 5 million people. Many have little to no access to healthcare facilities, particularly in the rural areas. To help tackle these problems, Liberia launched its Community Health Workers Program following the 2014-2015 Ebola epidemic. There are 4,000 community health workers or community health assistants, CHAs, like John Flomo, bringing health care literally to the doorsteps of people in remote communities in all of Liberia's 15 counties. Hello. Their primary role is to diagnose and treat children under 5 for pneumonia, malaria, malnutrition, and other health problems.
Yes, it's positive, have malaria.
They also focus on community health education and disease surveillance and prevention.
Our training in how to prevent other diseases that can affect our community people. The measles, the polio, we make sure our children take the vaccine on time.
They are now also leading COVID-19 prevention and vaccination campaigns in their communities.
To encourage my people, I was the first, as you can see my card, I was the first to do my vaccine.
In a country with a low doctor-patient ratio, the community health workers are really the main provider of primary care for thousands of people in Liberia.
In my catchment area, I control 277 households.
506 persons in my catchment community.
Cases they cannot treat, they refer to the nearest health facility.
Because of their quick referral, since I took over 2019, I never experienced any maternal mortality death in my facility.
Indeed, since the community health scheme officially launched in 2016 in the wake of the Ebola epidemic, it has made startling progress. About 70% of Liberia's 700,000 rural residents now have access to care. A study published in August found that community health workers now treat 45% of all malaria cases among children under 5, with that figure rising year after year. Many things explain the success of the community health program in Liberia. First, the CHAs come from the very communities they serve and are nominated by the people in those communities, creating a strong bond and trust between the CHAs and their communities. All of the CHAs must have at least a 6th grade education, pass a written test, and then go through a rigorous 4-month training. Another key to the success of the Community Health Program is the very close supervision of CHAs by Community Health Services Supervisors, CHSS, who are registered nurses, physician assistants, or certified midwives.
Okay, what's the Museum of Routine Physical?
No wonder the Liberians who run this program take great pride in its success.
So we are working with all of the stakeholders to ensure that this Liberian team succeeds in the implementation of this project.
But despite the successes, there are some problems.
The major challenge right now we are having is the availability of drugs.
For now, though, thanks to the Community Health Program, Liberia's poverty-stricken, remote and rural communities are benefiting from improved access to health care.
We are here. Maternal mortality, one reduce. Family planning, one reduce.
Education.
How many legs does a big cat have?
In schools across Liberia, first and second grade students are busy reading.
Look at this. It had 2 legs. This is Pam. Pam sits in the hot sun.
This was not always the case, particularly following the military coup of 1980 and the ensuing 14-year civil war.
As a result of the war, most of the teachers left the country, and some of the trained teachers that remain here, some of them left the teaching profession to seek greener pasture. So as a result, reading was like blacked out in most schools. We find out that children say, apart from grade 1, but they can't read.
It was this problem that the Read Liberia program, in collaboration with the Ministry of Education, set out to solve, drawing on the expertise of Liberian teachers and educators.
Read Liberia, before they started, they came to the ministry and said, look, this is what we want to do. How do we develop the curriculum?
The next step was to develop teaching and learning materials for early grade reading.
The textbooks that were used by Read Liberia, okay, they were all written by us, Liberians, all right?
Teachers were then trained to deliver the early grade reading curriculum.
Again. What's the word? What's the word? What's the word?
Read Liberia did something else to improve early grade reading. It used community mobilizers to visit communities, reaching parents directly and through parents-teachers associations, encouraging them to help their children develop a reading habit.
How you been doing with her?
They took the quiz, and I saw her paper. She coming on well with a quiz.
Because we know as educators that parents also play a critical role in their children's learning. So these parents are encouraged to spend at least minimum 20 minutes at home every day where they will read.
The results of all this effort have been good. A recent impact assessment showed that the average early grade reader in Read Liberia's 631 schools can read 29.7 correct words per minute compared to 14.5 correct words per minute for the average student in non-Read Liberia schools. The average student in Read Liberia schools who can read more than 50 correct words per minute climbed from 7.5% to 23.4%.
This is Pam. Pam has a...
The challenge now is to sustain and build on these gains. That is why Read Liberia is working with the Ministry of Education to transition the early grade reading program to the ministry once the Read Liberia early grade reading activity ends.
The transition should emphasize sustainability in a way that when Read Liberia leaves, the ministry is capable and able to uphold the program.
All of the building blocks for a successful transition are in place. The Ministry of Education is familiar with the early grade reading program, having played a central role in devising the curriculum and teaching and learning materials. In the meantime, though, thanks to the efforts of Read Liberia and its many Liberian partners, Liberian children are discovering the joy of reading, and their parents, particularly those who themselves cannot read, are very happy.
Happy. It will teach me in Jesus' name.
Economic growth.
While studying economics at Dartmouth College in the United States, Mahmoud Johnson came across a study that he said was an eye-opener.
I came across some study that USAID had done here in Liberia where they found that I think about 35% of the palm fruit remain on the trees every year without being harvested because there are so many bottlenecks in the production process. And also found out that when the farmers harvest the palm, they actually end up losing about 50% of the expected yield because, again, the way that they were producing the palm oil is not quite efficient.
Upon his return to Liberia in 2013, that study set the then 22-year-old Mahmoud on a track to establish a business, J-Palm, built around bringing efficiency to palm oil production.
We were able to get some machines, again, that sort of came to Liberia through USAID program, the Smallholders Oil Palm Support Project, where they trained local blacksmiths on how to make palm oil machines.
He had some of these machines made for him that he then gave to palm oil producers in rural communities.
Just by using these machines, farmers can increase their yields by about 53%.
So, Mahmoud was now in the business of selling palm oil in Monrovia that he bought from people using these machines. But he realized he could do more with a byproduct from palm oil production, the palm kernels, the edible seed of the palm fruit, which is encased in a hard outer shell.
Now we have basically created a market for the palm kernels where we buy from them, enabling them to earn additional income from something that just a few years ago was treated as waste.
Mahmoud began extracting oil from the kernels. That was the major ingredient in a series of J-Palm skin and hair products sold on the local market and produced at his plant in Sincor.
It achieves two things, right? One is that it enables us to be able to create and sustain the jobs that we're creating. But then number two, it helps us also to be able to sort of deepen the impact that we're creating for the smallholder farmers.
Initially, his products were sold in local supermarkets and by salespeople walking the streets. But about a year ago, he opened his own store in Sincor. Now, with some donor assistance, Mahmoud is poised to take his business to a whole new level, where he will be exporting palm kernel oil to markets in Europe and the United States.
And speaking about USAID, I think it sort of has come full circle where the company's founding was in a way informed by USAID research, and now we are working more directly with USAID through the West Africa Trade Hub, where we, in association with Pacha Soap, a US-based company, we're going to get a grant to fund our certification costs for organic.
To take advantage of his new export potential, Mahmoud is, with help from the United States Africa Development Foundation, now investing in setting up a modern palm kernel oil manufacturing plant outside Manga in Bong County.
We hope that within the next 1 to 2 weeks, the factory will be fully operational. Once it's operational, it'll be able to process about 25 tons of palm kernels per day.
He's been at this for 9 years now. And what's the key lesson he's learned?
What we've shown here is that it is possible to use our own natural resources in this country and add value and set up a manufacturing process that in turn helps us to create employment and also help us to help reduce poverty that many people in Liberia are currently facing. And so I'm very happy.
If Mahmoud Johnson is showing Liberians how to add value to local products, then the people of Tututa are showing how local communities can provide their residents reliable and affordable power. Liberia has one of the lowest electricity access rates in the world, with only about 8% of households connected to the national grid. In the rural areas, in fact, less than 2% of the population has access to electricity. But the people of Tututa in rural Liberia are showing communities how they can provide themselves reliable and affordable power. Since 2018, unlike many other rural communities, Tututa has had power provided by a hybrid solar and diesel generator plant. Sure, funding from USAID helped fund the plant, but its success today is due to the people here. They set up a cooperative, the Tututa Electric Cooperative, TEC, that owns the plant. Anyone who buys power from TEC is effectively a member of the cooperative's General Assembly and can vote for members of the board that runs the cooperative. Members of the cooperative can also buy shares in TEC and share in its profits.
I'm one of the shareholders of TEC.
TEC hired a manager to professionally run its operation. It also hired technicians to maintain the plant.
We first started with 188 customers, but currently we are now at 350 customers.
TEC has set up a transparent system to account for and manage fees paid by its customers. Anyone with a phone and the TEC app can see in real time whenever a customer pays his or her electric bill and thus keep track of the company's finances. TEC has also set up a meter system that makes power theft virtually impossible. Thanks to prudent management, when a diesel generator broke down recently, TEC got another generator on a loan that it is now paying back. The availability of electricity here has brought life to Tututa and has been a boon for businesses.
Everything we have here can freeze good. We're drinking the best cold water in Liberia now.
The Tututa Health Clinic now runs its maternal child health unit without fear of power outage.
So we are doing 24-hour service at the MCH where women come in any hour of the night and any hour of the day to give birth.
Now TEC is looking to invest in expanding its generation capacity so that it can provide more households with electricity. Given its past record, this seems like something it is going to succeed at doing.
Democracy, rights, and governance.
Since the end of its civil war in 2003, Liberia has made serious democratic gains.
We've had 3 successive elections, 2006, 2011, and 2017. The will of the people have been expressed in these past elections.
We've had an election in which one party turned over to another party. So yes, democracy, I think we are on the right footing.
Well, I think I'll give ourselves a pat in the back. I think we've been doing extremely well.
Liberia has also made progress building key institutions like a vibrant media sector that are essential to strengthening its democracy.
Before the war, you will know that there were few media institutes. Today, we have multiplicity of media institutions. There's pluralism in the media right now.
There is also a strong civil society with many advocacy groups working to promote transparent and accountable governance.
What we've been doing basically has been to work with different stakeholders to the promotion of good governance, transparency. What we do is meant to build citizens' capacity, increase their access to information so that they know what corruption is, the impact it has on their individual lives, as well as collectively what's happening in the society.
Our primary role is to hold public officials to account, and that includes all aspects of our democracy, including how we conduct elections.
But these civil society and other good governance leaders are the first to say that despite the democratic gains Liberia has made, there are still some challenges that include the underrepresentation of women in political party leadership and the national legislature, where women hold only 9 of the 103 seats.
It's not that men are not good leaders, no. We just want to come on board as partners so that the representation of women is at least on par with that of the men. In the general population, we're about half. And so when it comes to leadership, women and girls should see their kind there.
One thorny issue that civil society organizations and other stakeholders are now seeking to resolve through legislation is one that has been the cause of legal challenges to election results: the late release of the voters' roll.
So one of the challenges we've also advanced is that the National Elections Commission in the election year should publish the voter registration roll 1 month before elections. That will afford political parties, independent election observation groups, both national and international, to have an opportunity to scrutinize the voter registration roll and to identify if there are issues that need to be addressed before we go to the elections.
There is also advocacy for reforms to make it easy for people to register to vote by doing away with the current system in which voters' registration is held only a few months before presidential elections. These and other reforms, Bloor says, are critical to engendering confidence in election results, further consolidating Liberia's democratic gains, and preserving its hard-won peace and stability.
In this way, citizens can trust that yes, indeed, these elections were free, fair, and transparent, and in that way, we mitigate any form of post-electoral violence.